And there's a lot of portions of the Declaration of Independence that we all know, famous phrases like liberty and the pursuit of happiness, but there's a lot more in it that people don't necessarily recall on their first review or from their elementary school days. The listing of grievances, for example, is a really important part of the Declaration. There's 27 of them, and there are all these grievances is basically our breakup letter with King George and England. And what it really shows is what we expect our freedom to look like in America. And we can actually take those grievances and maybe apply them today and say, well, what should we expect as Americans today out of our government? Our founders gave us the foundation, but it's on us to carry those principles forward. It's up to us to preserve the freedom that we have that's made us the greatest nation on earth. So we took that message to Americans, and it was widely popular, and they took the challenge.
Americans are capable of achieving extraordinary things when they have the freedom and opportunity to do so. This is American Potential.
Hey everyone, welcome to the American Potential Podcast. I'm your host, David Fromm. So we're recording this episode just after July 4th. And great time to celebrate America's 250th birthday. That's going to be an ongoing thing all year, but it kind of crescendos, here with the 4th. Hey, Engineer Matt, what did you do to celebrate the 4th of July?
Well, I had a little bit of a unorthodox 4th of July, which happened to me because I live out in Colorado, okay, and I'm out in Custer County, which is currently being affected by the Aspen Acres wildfire, and it is one of the largest fires in Colorado history. It's very big, and it's gotten pretty close to where I live. So what I ended up doing 4th of July was I wasn't doing fireworks, wasn't doing any of that. I was packing stuff up, getting ready for pre-evacuation, just getting everything squared away. So if we do get the order, the call on it, that everything would be all set. So my 4th of July, it was exciting, but maybe not in the sort of way you want it to be. So that's for sure.
Yeah, you got to put first things first, and that makes a lot of sense to prioritize being safe and protecting yourself and your property. But yeah, probably not the way you want to celebrate the 4th. So,
No, definitely wasn't. But I will say one of the things that is incredible are all of the fire crews who came from all across the country and spent their 4th of July working that fire line instead of being out, with family and watching the fireworks and all of that stuff. I have to say that's a tremendous thing that they did, and I really want to thank them for that.
Yeah, see, now I feel dumb for complaining that their fireworks got rained out on the 4th. So.
Well, you could send some of that rain this way. We would appreciate that.
I wish we could have, man. Would have loved to swap that weather. Anyway, but well, I'm excited. The America's 250th birthday is such a cool opportunity for us to connect to our founding principles and just remember like what makes America unique. So I'm excited to keep talking about it. Some people celebrate their birthday for a whole week or even a whole month. Well, Americans for Prosperity is one-upping that with America's 250th birthday. We're celebrating all year long, holding events across the country, and have been lucky enough to attend some of them. But AFP didn't stop there, finding other ways to mark this great milestone. But none of this would be possible without the Declaration of Independence, and that's where we'll start. Our guest is no stranger to the podcast. I want to welcome back Daniel Bassali, who is Grassroots Marketing Vice President for Americans for Prosperity. Daniel, how are you?
Doing great, David. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, always fun to have you, man, and especially on this topic. I mean, we're over halfway through the year. AFP's been celebrating America's 250th birthday in a whole host of ways. Here on the podcast, we've been talking a lot about it, talking to different guests and different angles. But we recently went through Independence Day and the real kind of high point for the year. And again, we're going to celebrate all year long, but it's super fun. So, what's it been like for you as one of the key guys who's been helping put this together and guide this for the organization? What's it been like for you to be part of all the different projects this year celebrating America's 250th birthday?
Well, If I'm being honest, exhausting, but invigorating at the same time. Yeah, it's been an amazing month for sure, and really an amazing year. At Americans for Prosperity, we started talking about this last year, really understanding that this is a special moment. You know, most of the time, and appropriately so, Americans are focused on what's right in front of them, the kitchen table issues that matter to their everyday lives. And we at Americans for Prosperity speak to those issues and give them solutions that can improve their lives and rally communities around those solutions all the time. But the 250th anniversary is a unique moment where we could talk about what really makes us Americans, what defines our country, and how are we going to move forward as a country. And I thought that was special. And so we put together one small step to really commemorate that, and then not just make it a reflection on the past, but really look ahead and look to what's this country going to look like for the next 250 years. So from all the events we've been doing, all the activations, the campaign has just been unlike anything I've ever been a part of before. The conversations we've had, the way people's faces light up when you talk to them about why this country means so much to them, why their freedom means so much to them. It's been special.
So, before we talk about all the different cool things that we've been able to do, I mean, there's just a lot of fun things from town criers, the Great American State Fair, and others. But I kind of want to get to like the kind of the essence of why we're doing this. I mean, there's I don't think many people would disagree that there's a real schism in like society right now, and in American political discourse, and kind of like a finger pointing and some real acrimony. And I know that, we felt like focusing on what made America America, what the founding principles are, have been a really important part of, potentially, the path forward and healing. Maybe can you talk to like what that's meant to you and kind of what the vision is for, for why we are even doing this project and why we're focusing on the founding principles?
Yeah. So, one thing that I'll say at the top is like we've seen a decline in pride of being an American, and that's concerning.
Yeah.
And I think everyone can say that's not a good thing, and it's been happening for multiple decades now, pretty steadily. Not coincidentally, at the same time that the size and scope of federal government has grown and kind of taken over more and more aspects of everyday life, limiting people's agency and opportunity to kind of control their own outcomes. But, at an individual level, I think we can all sense that when you look on social media, that vitriol is just so apparent. And what I've learned through this year, though, is that it's not indicative of where the average American is at. When you meet them in person, they are still proud to be an American. They are proud of their community. They don't like everything that's going on, and they all have different reasons for that, but they inherently still believe this is a good country that you should be proud of. And so, what's going on here? I think that the political brinksmanship and the partisan divides have actually gotten us into a place where, in some cases, people are cheering against America succeeding because their side isn't in control. And I think that's just so dangerous and petty, frankly. We should be cheering for America. We should be cheering for the American people having more opportunity, more prosperity. And I think this summer it's really come to a head. Whether you're, experiencing America through a fresh lens from all the visitors we've had from the World Cup, saying how unbelievable it is in this country, remarking at how they've never seen anything like the grocery stores and restaurants that we have. It can be as simple as free refills of
Yeah.
your soda or your pop, depending on where you are, or something as significant as just the openness of our culture, of our people, welcoming them into their cities. It's been incredible to see people kind of like break through the social media lens that has kind of painted us in a bad way. And sometimes in the media, the portrayal that we are so divided. Don't get me wrong, there are issues. But this summer has been one that has really reinvigorated me. And I hope through one small step and everything that we've been taking out to people, that we've been a meaningful part of their celebrations as well of what it means to be American.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you talk about social media because I know I even just looking at X or something, you get sucked into like how divided, how the fighting that's going on, the acrimony. And it was almost like all those folks from other countries coming here for the World Cup, like loving their barbecue or thinking like this place is so beautiful. Like it took them like kind of storming my social media to be like, no, this place is so great. America really is a uniquely awesome place.
Yeah, it's a fresh perspective, and I think we take it for granted too often. And um, when a visitor comes and tells you, no, this isn't normal, you don't have this anywhere else, I think we say that to ourselves, especially around the 4th of July, but oftentimes we forget. And so um, to have that perspective, as well as all the festivities, I've been traveling all around the country. I know you have too for One Small Step events. All the festivities bringing communities together in a uniquely local way. Each one has its own flavor, and to get their experience of the American life has been really special. And then to kind of bring it all to a head in our nation's capital around the 250th Independence Day weekend for 2 weeks now. We went to the Great American State Fair and talked to thousands of Americans from all over the country. And some people cheered against the Great American State Fair too. Some people didn't want it to succeed. And that again is a part of the American dynamic now, the reality. It's a little sad if you ask me. But when you're on the ground talking to people, they were having a great time. And we talked to tens of thousands of people. We collected tens of thousands of signatures on the Declaration of Independence that we had on the exhibit there. And I mean, these were patriots. These were people who were ready to share it. And we had a pretty simple message that exhibit really wanted to make the Declaration of Independence a focal point of our July 4th celebrations. Too often, we forget that that's the real reason why we're celebrating our freedoms. And we don't concentrate on that. We focus on the fireworks or on the barbecue we're going to have. But we had over 120,000 Americans read the Declaration of Independence as part of their celebrations this Independence Day, thanks to the work that we did at Americans for Prosperity. And I'm incredibly proud of that.
That's wonderful. Well, and that's part of the Declaration Project. Why don't you just tell us a little more about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, our whole thing was that we just want people to refamiliarize themselves with the words that started it all. It's not that very long. It's 1,320 words. It takes about 7 to 10 minutes, depending on your pace, to read it. And we just challenged Americans. Have you read the Declaration of Independence recently? What better moment than America's 250th anniversary to read the words themselves, to reflect on what our founders were telling the world about what they believed to be true? Because some of the ideas in there are radical. They were radical at the time, that our rights don't come from a king, a monarch, or a government, that they come inherently from our creator, and that we have certain unalienable rights. And there's a lot of portions of the Declaration of Independence that we all know, famous phrases, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But there's a lot more in it that people don't necessarily recall on their first review or from their elementary school days. The listing of grievances, for example, is a really important part of the Declaration. There's 27 of them, and there are all these grievances is basically our breakup letter with King George and England. And what it really shows is what we expect our freedom to look like in America. And we can actually take those grievances and maybe apply them today and say, well, what should we expect as Americans today out of our government? Our founders gave us the foundation, but it's on us to carry those principles forward. It's up to us to preserve the freedom that we have that's made us the greatest nation on earth. So we took that message to Americans, and it was widely popular. And they took the challenge, and hundreds of thousands of people engaged with the Declaration of Independence this 4th of July and the whole month, really. And that's what I think we can take moving forward. Like, is the 250th anniversary going to mean something beyond just a nice date and a nice anniversary? are we going to make it something that actually changes the trajectory of how this country is going to look moving forward?
Well, I love some of the innovative stuff that you and your team have dreamed up and that we've been doing to help encourage folks to celebrate this 250th. One of them is the Town Crier Project. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully folks know what a town crier is. Maybe you can explain that. But I just love this kind of theater.
Let me tell you, I learned Gen Z does not know what a town crier is. We were talking to some folks about it as we were preparing, and a lot of them
They
were
thought it
like,
was just a
"Town
really
what?
emotional
Callers?
person in
What?"
the town.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was a time before social media and before cell phones and iPhones existed where you actually had someone's full-time job was to get the news, report it by going out into a public square and just screaming it. And we thought, what a fun way to mark the anniversary and to take this message about the Declaration Project that we were running out into the communities all across the country. So we hired town criers in I think 15, 20 different states that we went to. And they just showed up in some very notable locations and just read the Declaration out loud. And when you have someone reading the Declaration out loud, that's weird. So people flocked to it, kind of wanted to see what was going on. We had a lot of fun with it, and it attracted a lot of attention to the core message that I had just shared about when's the last time you read it, and do you want to actually familiarize yourself with it again? Do you want to pass that on to your children? We were giving out free copies of the Declaration of Independence with that. And it was just another one of the fun parts about this campaign. Our jobs are pretty fun here.
Yeah, just thought it was so awesome. Just see some guy that looks like a colonialist just out there in modern society reading the Declaration. It just didn't fit, and I thought it was wonderful because of that reason. It just was wonderful, a great reminder. I thought it was so much
And
fun.
credit to all those guys who did it as well, because it's been a hot summer. So they're decked out in that. And it's like in some cases, 105 feels like 115. And so that in and of itself was like, who's this crazy person dressed this way right now?
Yeah, I always think about that when I just think about the founding of the nation. Like they're wearing like wool, you know, with these multiple layers, and in July 1st through 4th, they're writing the Declaration of Independence. It's like crazy hot in Philadelphia, and they're just like, no air conditioning. I always think about that as just like a reality back then. I'm surprised the Declaration wasn't crankier.
Well, it's plenty cranky. I mean, we had our
I
grievances.
guess it is.
One of the reasons maybe, and I just learned this, I'm not joking, like literally in my last meeting, because we were talking about the summer heat. Um, so Thomas Jefferson was obsessed with the weather, and he actually journaled about the weather almost every single day. And so we actually know what the temperature was. And apparently it was a beautiful day, mid 70s in Philadelphia when they signed the Declaration of Independence. So that
Wow.
might have some reason as to why they were being a little bit more productive at that time. And then additionally, I went to Mount Vernon with my family on the 4th of July, and we learned in the summer their clothing was actually made out of linen, and it was super breathable. So while they were covered head to toe, they actually had the appropriate gear there. So give the early founders some credit.
All right, that makes you feel a little better. Hey, you mentioned the Great American State Fair, and it's on the National Mall, and we were fortunate enough to be part of it. What was it like? Like, tell us, like what was the scene, and what were your reflections of it, and kind of the conversations like?
Yeah. So to be again very direct with you guys, it was chaotic at first. We found out personally, we found out that we were actually going to have the opportunity to go to the Great American State Fair 9 days prior to it starting. So that was not a lot of runway to plan out an exhibit. Luckily, we have a fantastic team that jumped on the opportunity because we saw a lot of value in it. I mean, 2 million Americans over the course of 2 weeks were going to visit the National Mall and view the exhibits at the Great American State Fair, and you can't pass that opportunity by. And it's a historic moment at that. So we wanted to be there in the center of the action. So the sprint leading forward, chaotic, but man, nothing brings together a team like being under the gun, right? And then once we got started, I mean, everyone who had a shift who was working there, it was almost the same story. They were nervous about how tough it was going to be. These are very long days. It's 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and it goes to 12 p.m. on the weekends. So really, really long days in the sweltering sun. Thankfully, we were inside in a nice pavilion that was air conditioned, but um, they were surprised by how nice it was to just be able to talk to Americans about this anniversary, to talk about what we were doing around the Declaration of Independence and the response. People were asking us, hey, can I sign up? We didn't even have to sell them on it because they wanted the reminder like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go home and I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence with my kids. They need to hear this. Some of them told us they're not getting this sort of education at their schools right now. We're a little concerned that they're not grounded in, the civics of the foundation that this country was built on. We need to do that at home. We are reminded about that thanks to this experience that we've had at the Great American State Fair. And so honestly, our jobs were pretty easy. We just had to talk to people and then the rest kind of did itself. And we did that at a grand scale, talking to tens of thousands of people over the course of those 2 weeks. So the stories kind of from our team were very similar. And I just think it was a special experience for those who got to go.
Yeah, what a cool opportunity. That is great. I think it kind of points to what I think we've suspected when we kicked off all this stuff, which is that the founding principles of our nation really are a unifying force that can point the way to more unity in the future. I kind of think when people come up and interact with us on talking about the principles of the Declaration, that's kind of what we see, and maybe it helps point the pathway to more reconciliation and just a more productive discourse in our politics.
Absolutely. I mean, this isn't about partisanship. It's not about politics. We're not even talking about specific policy solutions, though we obviously care a lot about that too. Inherently, what we're talking about, we should all agree on. And it started with those founding words. In the Declaration of Independence, they communicate the principles of dignity, that we all have rights, equality. We talk about the rule of law. We talk about um, freedom and opportunity and limited government and civic duty. Those are things that we should all be able to agree on because we as Americans chart our own path. It's what defines us as a country. We have the unique ability to see a problem and solve it as individuals, as a community. And that's how we do things. And it's a better formula than anywhere else we've seen in human history. And it's why we're the greatest nation on earth. It's the core part of it. It's not the only reason why America has been so successful in 250 years, but it's really the foundation. And that's why I think it's so unifying, or at least it should be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like it is interesting to watch people cheer against America. It's just odd. Like, people don't like the Great American State Fair. It's like, do you not like America or the State Fair? I thought we like them both. Um, but I do think that we have to get to a better place where we're talking to one another and people are sharing ideas, not being offended just by the existence of the other person.
Mhm.
So I know that at Americans for Prosperity, that's something that we really want to play a role in. Is not feeding it. Being responsible in how we discuss issues or critical of bad policy proposals and not adding to like a caustic environment, but trying to make it so like we have productive conversations. We can point out what's bad, what's bad policy and what's going to be bad for our nation, but doing it in a respectful way, I think is important. And I think that, just over my lifetime, the political discourse has gone down, it's really become much, much worse. And that doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah, and you can sum it up, I think, really easily in saying, if you're proud to being an American when your party is in control, or your preferred president is in office and not proud when you didn't win in the elections, or when the trajectory of the policy is not the way that you would want it to go, then I think you're not really thinking about what truly defines us as Americans. You're really basing your pride on politics. And that's a underlying part of this initiative. We don't talk about it as explicitly, but we're just trying to remind folks that there's something deeper that we all share, that we should all be able to agree on and build a certain kind of dialogue from. And those are those founding principles. And that's what One Small Step takes to Americans. And that's why we've seen folks from the right, folks from the left, swing voters, or folks who consider themselves independents or not even that political at all, really engage with this. Um, and you know, um, when I kind of reflected back on the 4th of July and the anniversary and kind of the discourse that I saw afterwards, I do think that it elevated a little bit. I do think that people who do not believe that we're headed in the right direction right now in this moment still were able to say, yeah, but I still love this country. I still love the opportunities that it afforded me. And that was heartening for me to see, at least. Maybe a slight break in the ever increasing temperature of our politics.
Yeah, I think America hopefully continues to be just unflinchingly optimistic. I think that that's something that's characterized us throughout our time as a nation, and our, is a quality that our people often exhibit. So I hope we kind of get back to that, or at least don't lose it.
Well,
So
how about this? I read this and I was like, wow, what a truly remarkable concept. In America, we don't celebrate the day that we won the Revolutionary War. We celebrate the day that we declared our independence. What an optimistic view, that
yeah, that's
we
great.
celebrate the decision we made, not the outcome that transpired afterwards. In most other countries, it is the day that they won the war that they celebrate, whether it's independence or some other monumental date in their nation's history. But here, it's about the idea. It's about the declaration. It's about what it means for who we are as a people. I thought that was super inspiring.
I love that. That is super inspiring. So we're just over halfway through the year in this year's celebration. What are some of the other things coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah, well, I think a couple things that I can share with you guys that we're working on. One is our marquee events and events throughout the country continue on all the way through December. So if you were able to celebrate on the 4th of July or some other time in your community, one of those America 250 events, fantastic, but you don't have to stop. And if you weren't, there's still an opportunity. We are traveling through the country. I know we've got Las Vegas coming up. I know we're going to New Jersey, Iowa. Let's see here, South Carolina, Nevada. Those are all coming up. So you can go to a250toolkit.com and find an event that's coming near you. These events have been fantastic. They've looked different everywhere we've gone. Some have been a country concert in Sandy, Utah with Low Cash. Others have been focused on other themes. Like in May, we went to Jacksonville, Florida. We were on the USS Orlick in a battleship, a retired battleship, and we welcomed lots of veterans there to honor their service, and of course to remember those who gave their full and last measure of devotion to this country and the freedoms that we have preserving them. So it's just been really fun. So I'd definitely encourage folks to look up the events that are coming up through the rest of the year. And that's not all. I mean, we're still going to be releasing a new toolkit on a250toolkit.com based off of our different themes for every single month online. And so if you go there at a250toolkit.com, I'm going to keep plugging it.
Yeah.
You can sign up and you'll get in your inbox a fresh set of resources, educational materials to use and leverage with your family, your friends, your neighbors to continue celebrating America, those founding principles, and finding a way to activate your community around you, around that. And because again, this should be a unifying experience. And so those are two great activations that we're going to continue doing through the rest of the year. And there's going to be a whole lot more. I don't want to give out all our surprises.
Well, here with the podcast, we've been privileged to attend a number of the A250 marquee events, and they're just a blast. Just joining with folks there. The guests are cool, and they are all so different, and it's super fun. We're looking forward to being at a bunch of them coming up in the next few months. So, for all you folks watching, you can join. You'll be joining us with them at those also. And yeah, I hope folks do go to a250toolkit.com and even look at the events and see if there's one near you, because it's a good time, and it's just great to be with folks who want to celebrate the founding principles of our nation and what's made this nation the greatest one in the world. So, Daniel, I really appreciate all the hard work that you and your team have done. It's been just a cool experience to be a part of an organization and a podcast that can join in on this celebration.
It's been an absolute privilege and an honor for me, and I know for everyone on our team as well. And I can't thank you enough, David, for helping us get the word out, for being at these events. I'm sure there have been a lot of folks who have come to them just to kind of see David Fromm from the American Potential podcast as well. You've gotten to interview quite a few interesting people through this whole series as well, and it's been awesome. You've done a great job with it. It's been an awesome partnership, and it's been a great experience, and we're going to keep it running.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see what's next, and we'll keep everyone updated. Thanks, Daniel.
Awesome. Thanks, David.
Hey, folks, if you like this episode and would like to stay connected with the podcast, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, as well as following us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And always remember, liberty and freedom are easily taken for granted. Don't take them for granted. Go out there and defend freedom and liberty. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to American Potential. You may listen to more stories from Americans working every day to expand freedom and opportunity in their communities by visiting AmericanPotential.com.